Hello guys, what's up? How are you doing? So in this session, we will discuss about application onboarding in IGA tool to be specific. Not just SailPoint, any other IGA product or any identity product, either it's a legacy, on-premise, or cloud, modern, or the old ones, doesn't matter. Okay, so the reason I have chosen this topic is two reasons. One, lot of people are asking me in my YouTube channel or in various other social media platforms that, hey Krishna, can you um, create a session on X connector, Y connector, Z connector? I mean, I have posted sessions on different connectors already. So they were asking about some other connectors. I was like, what's there in that? Are you going to learn each and every connector? How to onboard an application using a connector? There are 130 plus or 150 plus connectors are there in SailPoint. If you take Okta, access management product, it has 1000 plus connectors. I spoke with Microsoft Identity team, which is Entra ID product, Entra IGA. When I asked them how many connectors you have, they said 3000 plus connectors are there. I haven't checked yet, but I have heard that 3000 plus connectors they have. Either hundreds of connectors or thousands of connectors you will have in any IGA product. If your connector doesn't have even 10 connectors, sorry, if your IGA product or any IAM product doesn't have even 10 connectors, maybe it's better not to use that at all. Okay, so anyway, coming back here, are you going to learn each and every connector in detail? Then do you think this life is going to be enough for you? No. First of all, I don't understand this learning each and every connector. That doesn't make any sense to me. We are not students, we are IT professionals. We don't learn everything. We learn the basics and we apply that knowledge to work on anything else. The other technologies or other IGA products or other application onboardings, whatever it is, always it is applied knowledge only, not direct knowledge. If you are looking for direct knowledge, you are going to be in trouble. It means that if you are asking or if you are struggling to work on some connector, I don't say 100%, but 70-80%, maybe you didn't understand the basics of or the core of application onboarding. So if you take me as an example, I was working in IBM Tivoli products. Those are not conventional IGA products, you know that. So when I moved to SailPoint world, it's completely different because those are legacy products and SailPoint is modern product, right? So I couldn't learn much, though there were not couple, bit more years I was struggling because I didn't have a proper learning path. When I started learning, I understood the core. I understood the core of it. Then I stopped learning. Why to learn each and everything? Doesn't make any sense. What is the knowledge you are gaining and how much knowledge you are applying on different concepts? There will be errors, there will be issues. You need to troubleshoot them. Do you know every error that occurs? No. That's why it is called troubleshooting. We never say that we know solution. We are troubleshooting the issue. We will have some findings. Based on that finding, we will apply some solutions. If it works, it will work. If not, it won't work. You need to try other options. That's how IT is. Okay, so I was really annoyed and kind of laughing even when someone asking, can you help me on some other connector, this connector or that connector? In case if you ask me a specific question like, hey dude, I'm working on this connector, I'm facing this issue, can you help me in that? That makes sense because what doesn't matter which connector you are working, there might be some blockers. That's totally understandable. But I haven't worked on this connector yet. Can you teach me on this connector? That doesn't make any sense. Second reason, yeah, before going to the second reason, I barely worked on connectors. Maybe 10 I might have worked in my entire career. 10 or 15, I don't remember, or even I don't count even. Why should I count even? So you may be thinking that, hey Krishna, you speak like this, but when you go to interview, how can you clear the interview if they expect more connectors experience? I said the same thing when they were asking, some sports brand shoe company was asking me this question. Um, did you work on X connector? I said yes. Did you work on Y connector? No, I didn't. Okay, did you work on Z connector? No, I didn't. Still, he was asking another. I said, what's there in that? Are you developing the connector? No. You just look at your requirement, you choose which connector is relevant or best apt connector for your application. When you select the connector, it will give you the parameters already. You need to fill them. For me, it is like working in IAM application onboarding, not completely, but some percentage is like data entry operator job only. Yeah. Are you developing the connector? If you are, then you are a developer. Or at least you are adding configuration something. No. To the some extent I'm talking about. Once you select the connector, it will display the text boxes or text fields. You need to enter. It will ask you what is your IP address, what is your username. You just need to enter the data. That's we call it as a data entry operator job, nothing else, right? So what is the point of learning that? There will be some pointers which you need to learn, definitely, that you can learn while doing the work on the job, we call on the job learning. Yeah, I'll do that. So let's say tomorrow I will be asked to work on some other connector which I have never worked on. Do you think I'll struggle? No. Why? Because I have the strong core knowledge. I know how to do. Okay. That is what I expect from everyone. Second reason, IGA application onboarding, not just any product I'm referring to, all the products I mean. So doesn't matter which product we are working on. Basically, what we are doing is either identity product or access management product. Like identity products are SailPoint, Saviynt, ForgeRock, Entra ID, uh, Ping, RSA, Delinea. Yes, a lot of products are there. So when you go to access management like Okta, again, Azure AD can be used for access management, single sign-on. ForgeRock also there, and Ping also can be used, Ping Federator, different products. So doesn't matter which product you are working on. What we do basically is we manage employees and protected resources in any organization. Employees access in different organizations, right? So what is that access you are managing? Nothing but applications. Access on different applications. So you need to connect to each and every application to manage user lifecycle management or to manage automated access provisionings. Either it's automatic as birthright or automated or request based, doesn't matter. So it's everything is application onboarding only if you take in any IAM product. Most of the times you will be working on application onboardings. So if you don't understand application onboarding in detail, maybe you will be struggling because that is the majority of the time you will be working on. So these are the two reasons why I chose to, create some sessions or series of sessions on application onboarding, gathering all my years of experience. Again, I'm repeating, it's not just for SailPoint, it is for all the products. So these are the steps I'm going to cover in application onboarding. I've considered SailPoint. No offense, but SailPoint is referred as IGA King. I worked in SailPoint IdentityIQ and SailPoint IdentityNow extensively. I worked in other products as well, which I don't want to name them. But trust me, SailPoint IdentityIQ has more flexibility and more options to customize. Okay, so it's a lot of work there. So my assumption is that since why I'm saying assumption, I haven't worked on all the products, IAM products that exist in the world, right? I worked some, a good amount of products I have worked, maybe 8 or 10 I have worked in so far. So with that experience, I would say maybe these many steps you are going to do if it is not SailPoint tools. if you're working in other IGA tools or even access management tools, maybe these are the steps, or maybe less steps than this. I don't think you will be working more than these steps. Access management, a bit difference will be there for sure, because their network will be there accessing single sign-on. But let me you know uh, put a boundary of my content to IGA only for now. Let's not talk about access management. So these are the steps you need to consider while doing application onboarding in IGA tool. As I mentioned, maybe these are the steps you are going to work, or lesser than these many steps, because some products doesn't have features as SailPoint has. So maybe it's not in scope. Maybe you don't need to do this step, it is automated already. But trust me, I don't think more than these steps you need in any other IGA tool. In case if you think that some step is not covered, please write it in the comment. We can learn. We all learn from each other, right? So what is the first step you need to consider while accepting an application to onboard in SailPoint or any other IGA tool? Benefits. Everyone loves benefits, right? So how it starts? Maybe your management will inform you that, hey, you need to take care of that application to onboard, to manage user lifecycle. And second is, see, most of the times it's not about automating the life cycle, like joiner, mover, lever process, or access request or access provisioning to an application for all your employees. It's not just about that. More than that, what application teams or management or security landscape of the organization is scared about auditing. So auditing will comes in, in simple words: who has access, how they got access, who granted the access, how long they have access. uh, do you have any employees who left the organization still they have access? That's a problem, right? So this is what they'll ask. A lot of things in auditing, but mostly, this is the basic question: who has access, why they have access, who has granted the access. Okay, so did it follow some approvals, or just blindly they got the access? Do you have some governance process or not? Are you having 100% compliance or not? So these are the questions you get in auditing, which any application team doesn't want to have that issue. If they get that issue, auditing is not satisfied. So the big four companies who are going to do auditing, like KPMG, EY, and two more, Deloitte, PwC. I think, yeah, these are the four companies which will do the auditing. So if they are not satisfied, then they will say they won't give sign off for the 100% compliance. Then you don't get a certification, right? Then you will have to face some heat there, regulations. You think government will sitting silent that if you don't follow the regulations with respect to security. Second, the customers, right? They will lose the uh, trust on your organization. For example, I don't use some apps. A lot of apps I don't use that. Even if I have to use, I'll install them for that moment and I'll uninstall it because I don't trust those apps. Okay, so maybe we can speak about this in a different session in detail, but this is what you need to understand. So auditing, very important, where application teams or management or organization is scared about. So they need to get 100% compliant. At least for that reason, even if they don't like, onboarding an application in SailPoint or any other IGA tool, they will definitely agree for it. Why? If you onboard an application in your IGA tool, they are doing some manual work, right, for creating users. I mean, giving access to the existing users in organization, changing their access or whatever the stuff. It's a manual work, and or whatever it is, manual or automatic, whatever. That application team is doing that work, right? If you onboard that application in your IGA tool, they don't have that work anymore. So you are reducing the work of that application team. That's not good for them, right? That's, of course, they also need more work so that they'll have a good amount of resources and business and something they can manage their business as usual activities. So you are taking their work. So I don't think they will be happy about that. So that's why you might face some problems, not with every application team, not in every organization. Sometimes you might face, sometimes you might not face. Okay, so you need to explain them. It's not like because of auditing or because your organization management is asking us to do that. Don't, not just about that. Explain them the features, the benefits, then they will definitely understand and they will also support. End of the day, it's not about your work or my work, it's organizations benefits we need to look into. We all are working for organization, not for your perspective or my perspective. We need to fulfill the organization requirements. So everyone has to agree for that, come to a common conclusion. So if you go with this process, they will definitely be happy. If you are happy, it's easy to work. If you are not happy, it's difficult. A lot of consequences you will face. Okay, so go with the benefits first. Second step, choosing the connector. So once you explain the benefits, you ask them what kind of applications they are, right? So there you will come to know a conclusion, or you will have to follow some steps in choosing the connector. Once you choose the connector, if you go to your IGA tool, your first step is you have to enter name of your application or whatever the word you use, and some basic details like description or owner you will configure. Then next you will choose what type of connector is this, right? Either it's a database or web services or Salesforce or mainframe or Active Directory or Microsoft applications or etc. etc. Once you choose the connector, your IGA tool will display what are the configuration parameters it is expecting for. Okay, so then you start asking the requirements, what kind of details you need. For example, if you talk about Salesforce doesn't have IP address because it's a SaaS tool. You don't get IP address. Maybe you can get IP range, not IP address, single IP address. So Salesforce, in order to work in that, you need to get URL of that your tenant, your organization's tenant in Salesforce Cloud. If you are working on in some database will have IP address or host name and what kind of database is that, and what is the port it is working on, or what is the port you need to use to connect to the database, what all that stuff. If it is a file based, different approach. If it is a web services, REST API or SOAP API, you need to work with them. What is the base URL, where it is located, all that stuff you will be discussing. Based on that only, right, you will choose the connector. Once the connector is decided, you will come to know what kind of data you need. So that's about requirement gathering. So once that requirement gathering is done and you connected to that application, then schema management, you need to know what all the attributes are there at the application side. Schema is nothing but attributes that are required for creating an account in that application for a user, right? So talk to them. Once you select the connector, if it is a direct out of the box connector like Salesforce, okay, maybe different IGA tool uses different terminology, but in SailPoint we use out of the box connector. Maybe some other IGA tool won't use connector terminology. They might use it as adapter or integrator or extension, whatever it is, just a name, right? So if you're working on out of the box connector, I mean like Salesforce is same, right? Anywhere you take in the world, whichever client you are working for, Salesforce is the same thing, same attributes you will have. If you take Active Directory, it's a product, it's same for every organization in the world. Apart from the direct or out of the box applications, maybe if you take generic applications like web services connector, it varies. Not every API, maybe those are custom APIs. What do I mean? So nowadays in the world, no application is going to expose their databases, for example, or it's a quite normal scenario that the standard is every application should have APIs as well to consume. That's a standard. Every application in the world will have APIs. If they don't have it, they will have in future. Okay, so those are out of the box APIs. Maybe that will be same if you take about out of the box product like Salesforce, but in case if you work on some customized or custom application which is developed in your organization, which is exposed in APIs, then that will be different. So you need to check with your application team what are the attributes are there. If it is a database, it's a custom database, right? Every database has different tables, different columns, you don't know. So there in the schema management, you need to, if it is out of the box connector, you need to look into what are the default attributes. Ask your application team if they deleted any attributes when they chose that product. Like Salesforce, let's say 100 attributes comes with the Salesforce. Maybe they felt like for their organization landscape they don't need some attributes, so they deleted them. You cannot aggregate some attribute which doesn't exist at application side. But nowadays it's very rare. No one is deleting the attributes. They just disable it. No one is going for hard delete. Soft delete means disable only they'll do. Okay. So you should ask them in case if they deleted any attributes. Along with that, you should ask them if they have added any custom attributes, so that you can add them in your schema at your IGA tool, and you can aggregate. I mean, you can read data from that application. Next, entitlements. It's very important. Entitlement is nothing but basic access. Entitlement is the word we use in SailPoint. Even Entra uses entitlement. I don't know about other products what they use. So Entra ID from Microsoft. Okay. So entitlement is nothing but basic access. So you need to ask them what attributes are entitlements. If it is out of the box connected like Salesforce, ServiceNow, or Active Directory, you know what are the entitlements by default. In case if you are working on custom applications, you need to ask them what are entitlements attributes. They won't understand by entitlement. You need to explain them. Entitlement means basic access. What do you mean by that? So there will be normal attributes, data based attributes. There will be access related attributes. So data attributes are nothing but generic data like first name, last name, which is of no significance in controlling access to your application. Whereas some attributes like maybe department or group or role, based on these attributes, you control who can see, who can do what they can do in that application, right? Those are, we call it as access related attributes, also known as entitlements. Then they will be understanding and you can get into entitlements. Once that is done, go with aggregation. Account aggregation and account group aggregation. If you need to do the schedule, of course you need to do the schedule, otherwise you don't run manually every day, right? Which is not a good way. So schedule the aggregations, look at your identity landscape and schedule accordingly. It's better to run aggregation task out of business hours. It's better. In case if you don't have more users, if it is less users and it won't take much time, but the technology has evolved a lot. They don't run full aggregations and they run optimized aggregations, so it won't take much time, but still analyze the aggregations. Aggregation is nothing but reading the data in SailPoint world. So you might use some other terminology like Microsoft Identity Manager uses import, delta import, or some ForgeRock they use synchronization. Even for reading the data synchronization, writing also they call it as synchronization only. Okay. So so we use aggregation. It's a normal word, English word which we use referring to reading the data. Okay. Provisioning is writing the data to the application. So aggregation, you need to schedule it. It's good to schedule. Look at the couple of aggregation results, see how much time it is taking. According to that, you can take a decision. Next, access model. So you have got entitlements, right? Now you need to build on that. If you take SailPoint IdentityIQ or SailPoint IdentityNow, we create roles on top of it. We call it as RBAC, role based access control. Okay, so you need to build the access model because requesting each and every entitlement is not a good idea. So you need to work with your team and then create. If it is SailPoint IdentityIQ, we call it as entitlement. On top of it, we create IT roles. IT role is nothing but collection of entitlement, and we create business role on top of IT role. So business role is collection of IT roles. So users can request for business roles and entitlements by default. If you want, you can enable IT roles also. That's a custom. You need to enable it. By default, IT roles are not requestable. You need to do that. So business roles and entitlement are requestable. When it comes to SailPoint IdentityNow, we call entitlements access profiles and roles. So access profile is collection of entitlements, role is collection of access profiles. So all three are requestable. You can configure however you want. Okay. So you need to work on this access model and you need to ask them who would be the owners. and who should, owners, and of course the approvers, who should be the approvers. So there you will be asking about the approval levels. We recommend generally manager and application owner. That's the good and standard way. Sometimes you can skip for a manager. You can directly go with application owner. Why do we use manager and application owner? Because every access you get, every resource you are going to use, it's a cost added to that. Let's say you need a laptop, right? Your project is going to bear cost for it. Okay, so if you take a license, if you install a software and if it is license based, your project is going to spend money for that. So every team in an organization will get budget from the management, 100K, 200K, 300K, like that. So they give the expectations, they take the analysis of work and uh, required assets for the team. They'll put a code for that. Once you get that budget, you need to use precisely. So management, your manager is responsible for that. So it's not like you can get any access, any asset or anything you would like to get, you will get it. Not like that. That's why manager will be informed for every access. Good way is and recommended is we go for always manager and application owner approval. Manager is going to bear the cost. That's why manager needs to be informed. What about application owner? They are maintaining the application, right? What if there are no licenses? Or what if application owner will tell that this user doesn't need this access, maybe different access? See, end of the day, who knows better about the application? Application team. That's why we go for application owner approval also. You can answer same things if your application team is asking. Next, that's about access model. So building the access, like it's not a good idea to request each and every tiny access. We group it so that user can request in a single request. They'll get more access, and it shouldn't be a lot of access, not less, not more. That's the RBAC model, right? And then approvers you will work on. And the last thing, it's not a good idea to have single application owner, you know single approver from application side. Why? Manager is different. How many resources do you think a manager can have? Maybe 10, 20, 30, limited, not a lot. But for application side, when an approval is triggered, one person has to take care of. It's difficult, right? So every request, doesn't matter from which team, every request application team has to look into that. It takes a lot of time. What if they go on vacation? Do you think application team or even your manager will be looking at access requests, not doing their work? No, it's not like that. They have their own works. So it's better to have multiple approvers from application team. Inform them, guys, we don't recommend to have single approver because you will be bombarded with the access request, and if you go on vacation, the request will be waiting. Users will not get the access. If user doesn't get access, they cannot work. If they won't work, no business to the organization. Okay, so inform them and get more than one approvers, and create a collection. In SailPoint IdentityIQ, we call it as work group. So work group is collection of members. We use that work group as the approver. So whoever are there in this work group, they'll get the notification that someone requested. Anyone can take the decision. Whoever is available. Okay. In IdentityNow, we call it as governance groups. In IdentityIQ, SailPoint, work groups. In SailPoint IdentityNow, we call it as governance group. I don't know if you have this kind of concept in your IGA product. If you don't have, you should have. I guess you have this already. Next, provisioning. So you need to work with your application team. What are the attributes that need to create an account in your application? You need to know, right? So again, you will work on schema part. See, aggregation side, whatever the attributes are there, those are reading purpose. Some attributes may be automatically generated when you create a user at application side, like sequence number or some IDs automatically generated. So you do not need to send them while creating a request. I mean, while you're submitting the data to application, you don't need to submit every attribute that you are reading. No, not at all required. So you need to talk to your application team and ask them, okay, what are the attributes I need to use while creating, or that attributes are required. We call it as mandatory or required and optional attributes. So your application team will ask them to give sample data also. Create a user, and then if it is web service, then they'll give the payload. We call it as payload or request body. So you can pass the same data. Ask them, once you create the user in the application, ask them, is it looking good? Is there any attribute is missing? Are the values looking good? Do you need to change any value, format, or value it has, whatever it may be? Not every attribute you can understand. Attributes will be different. Okay, so let's say you are calling it as department in HR system. Maybe at application side it is a region, not department. Who knows? So you need to talk to them to understand each and every attribute. What are the values? Not every attribute you can read the data directly from HR system, right? Like identity attributes. You might need to write some custom coding to generate the values. For example, you have a display name, okay, but application team needs um, first name, middle name, first letter, and last name only. That's their format, but you don't have like this. Then you need to write some coding. Okay, so that's about provisioning. And then development. So in order to do this provisioning or even aggregation also, you might need development. So in IdentityIQ, we have a lot of rules and scripting we write in core Java, or we call it as bean cell scripting. So whenever we work with application, then we have a section for rules. Aggregation rules are there, provisioning rules are there. Whereas in IdentityNow, we don't have those many rules. So IdentityNow we have what aggregation rules almost none, empty. You can manage in a different way. So don't ask question like how we'll do that. We are doing it, no? So don't have that question. There are other ways, simple ways. You don't want to have a rule. Aggregation, they don't have rules mostly, except some delimited or some rules are there aggregation side. But most of the times we don't have rules for aggregation. And provisioning rules are there. For example, in IdentityIQ, you have before provisioning rule and after provisioning rule, right? But in IdentityNow, there is no after provisioning rule. Yeah, we don't have it. Again, don't ask question how we manage this. There are other ways to handle it. Okay, so you need to work on the rules if it is required, or if not rules, maybe in IdentityNow we call it as transform. In IdentityIQ, you write a script, right? Let's say, for example, if you take identity attribute, identity mappings, there you can write a script, or you can select a rule also. Similarly, in IdentityIQ provisioning policy form, either you can write a script there, or you can select a rule also. Similarly, in IdentityNow, that script is nothing but a transform written in JSON. So we use the transforms as well. Rules, very rare. So, and maybe some other development is required. You need to work on that. It differs from application to application. So there, I used to have a question like some IAM professionals from other IAM products, legacy products. They used to say, "What is there in application onboarding? It's just entering the data only, right? You can do it in 1 hour or 1 day max. Why you are telling that it will take 1 month?" One stupid challenged me. I said like application onboarding generally takes 1 month at least, from beginning to the end, from our understanding application requirements, gathering the data, development, and the remaining steps we have, right? So it takes at least 1 month. For Salesforce application onboarding, I worked for 6 months. And another application, I think 5 months or 4 months it took. But that stupid doesn't know this, right? He said like, say at least 1 month it will take for an application. Again, it's not like 1 month is a standard. It differs from each and every application. Or you tell me guys, whoever is listening, how many weeks it will take for an application onboarding. We have to go from dev environment to test and then production, right? Lot of steps, lot of processes we need to follow. Of course, documentation is there. Then that stupid said like, I challenge you. I'll give you whatever you want. It won't take 1 month. It takes maybe 2 weeks maximum. So he applied a formula like 50% of whatever you say. That's quite a common human tendency, right? If we need 100%, we will tell 200% just for to be in safe side, correct? So that stupid, said like that. And he said, I challenge you, I will give you whatever you want if you prove me wrong. For me, it is like, arguing with stupids is a bad idea. Okay, arguing itself is a bad idea, I would say. Just, I will walk out. It's not a good thing at all. Unless if you do not have a choice, you need to convince them. If you have a choice, leave. So that if you feel like this situation, um, arguing, they may be not up to your standards. So it's not a good idea. So I said, whatever you think, I don't care. Whatever I want to do, I'll do. So I just came out of it. Okay. So if you have an option, leave. If you don't have an option, try to convince them. So that's where we bring our consulting knowledge. We write down the breakup of each and every work. Just like how I have written these many steps. Every step I will write some more subtopics. And then I'll explain what work it is, complexities are there, or what kind of blockers are there, and how many hours it takes. Everything I'll write it down. Okay, that's what consulting is. Based on that only we submit for billing. It's not like randomly, hey, it will take 4 weeks or 6 months. Not like that. We will understand the application, and then we will write down, we will break up the requirements, then we will give hours for each and every subtopic. Everything we will give, and then we will give plus or minus 20% of that hours. Maybe if there are blockers, we will have 20% of extra hours for safe side. Maybe if everything goes well, maybe minus 20%. So 20% lesser hours than what you have forecasted, you might be able to complete. That's the consulting. Okay. So that is how it works. Depends on application, depends upon product you are working on, the development will be there. In IdentityIQ, I used to write lot of rules, whereas in IdentityNow, I'm barely writing rules. That development shifted to transforms or workflows, different way. Okay, so there is no generalized statement here about the provisioning. Sorry, development. Next, attribute sync. So what is attribute sync? Why do you need it? Well, if user data is modified, let's say their last name is modified when woman gets married, they change their last name, um, their wish, and then they'll apply some proofs to the HR system. Once they approve, then their last name is updated. So then once last name is updated at HR system, we will get into our IGA tool in the next run, right? Next aggregation or next reading. It has to be updated in other applications, like maybe their Teams, Outlook, right? Their display name in different portals. Very a big problem. If last name is modified incorrectly, if last name incorrect is there, incorrect last name, that's a very big problem. Okay, when it comes to access related stuff, if a user moved from one department to another department or position, job title, their access will be different. It has to be processed. Okay, so it's very important attribute synchronization. If you do not do this attribute synchronization, then the data will not be updated immediately to the applications. When they will be updated, whenever the next request happens, at that time it will calculate all the attributes for the provisioning. I mean, creating or modifying, whatever, it's writing the data to application, right? So if some attribute has the data already, if it is same, it will be ignored or filtered out. If the attribute data is different from what it is already there at the application side, then only it will be considered for the provisioning. Okay, so attribute sync is very important, and do not enable attribute sync for attributes which will never change, like IDs, network ID, SAM account, name in ID, or email address even. Email address will modify once you change the last name, but most of the times I have seen it won't be taken place in IGA tools. It will happen in backend only. They will place a separate request to change the last name, sorry, change in email, that will go in a different process. I have not seen direct implementations in any IGA tool. It can be implemented, of course, but they don't consider it for some reasons. There are some problems associated with that. So that's why their email will be modified in the backend for this use case. Okay. So then uh, you do not you should not do the synchronization for emails for some applications, not all, I'm telling some. Okay, so there are some attributes which will never change in that application that you should not touch. Okay, if not, if you touch it, then that will be a problem. Okay, so you should be careful about attributes. You need to cross check whether it is really required or not. So with this you complete application onboarding. Okay, all the activities. Next is access reviews, which is an add-on. To be frank, access reviews is not part of an application onboarding in some extent. It's an add-on, you can consider like that, because not every application needs certification access reviews. Some need. So you will ask them question like, do you need to review the access? Of course, it is compliance wise, it is very important. You should ask them, but sometimes you might feel that access reviews is not that important to that application. It differs. Okay, but considering the security, how the trends are, the data breaches, almost every application team is going for reviewing their access on a periodic basis, right? So explain them what is access reviews, nothing but certification. Okay, so there you inform them like how often you would like to certify access for your users in your application. Don't go for every month, that's not a good idea unless it has a very important use case like license management, example Salesforce, or maybe Office 365. Okay, so yeah, but we take care of it automatically. If a user leaves the organization, we'll remove the licenses. What if user is not leaving the organization? They are still there. Maybe they don't need license anymore. That will be taken care in access reviews most of the time. So ask them. 3 months, once in 3 months is a good idea. Every month is not a good idea. So explain them, gather the requirements and configure access reviews for that as well. So not every application needs individual access review. And there will be group of applications where we go for manager certification. Okay, so in IdentityIQ you have extensive amount of certifications, maybe around nine I think, or 10, nine I think. So last certification, new one was targeted certification. Okay, which you can use for any type of certification other than remaining like entitlement owner, application owner, role membership. Instead of that, you can go for targeted certification. I didn't know it's different. You don't have such kind of certifications. They're a bit different process, but end of the day you achieve same. Next, offboarding. So you need to ask them. The first question we ask is it, if an employee leaves the organization, is it a soft delete or hard delete? Hard delete means complete deletion. Soft delete means disable. Nowadays, due to this SaaS model, cloud model, now most of the applications doesn't support deleting an account completely, because uh, what they do most of the times, these are customer based applications, right? Every application has customers, one or the other. That's the business model, right? So there they don't want to delete the record completely. For example, I deleted my account in Facebook maybe 10 years back or 7 years back. It's still there. I followed some process to delete it, but my friend said that I still can see your birthday there. Wow, what the duck, man? I deleted already. They said like you need to follow different process to delete. I did it, but still it is not deleted. So a lot of applications are going like that. I don't know why. So the reason will be like, some way. I might be wrong, but this is how I think. So they will send an email like it's been quite a while since you haven't since you opted to delete your account in our application. We deleted. We maintain very little information about you. Is there any change in your thoughts? Would you like to come back? See the awesome features we have. So like that, they will be trying to bring you back to their application. If they lose your data completely, they don't know you anymore. That's one of the main reasons I think. I might be wrong, but this is what I think. So you do not have hard deletes, only soft delete. You can just disable their access. Sometimes it is good, sometimes it is bad. So you need to ask them, if an employee leave the organization, do we need to disable on the same day? Of course, you need to. You don't need to ask this question even. But there is other question which you should ask is, do you support deletion? If they say yes, then you should ask them like, okay, I'll disable once the employee leave the organization. I will wait for 30 days grace period. If employee comes back, we can just enable the access back. They'll have all the access. We just enable the account. Access will be there. If they don't come back in 30 days, we just delete their account completely. In case if there is no hard delete is possible, I will just remove all the access. Their account will be empty account. In case if access should be there, at least one access as a mandatory attribute, then you can have something like a test access, no access, something like that. Why? This is very important for contractors. Often managers forget to extend the contractors. Sometimes it's ignorance, sometimes valid reasons, like their budget was not approved, they don't have forecast, or they got approvals in last minute. That's why their contract is approved to extend for next 3 months or 6 months, right? So then it will be very helpful. Let's say that today is last day of the contractor, you deleted their access, or if it is possible, you deleted their account also. After 2 days or 3 days, they got approval that this contractor got extension. It's difficult to, um, roll over the access they used to have. That's why the good standard is disable their account, just to disable on the last day, end of the last day, or the it's better to disable on last day, almost after business hours. Okay. Then after 30 days, remove their access, or if possible, if supported, if agrees, delete their account completely after 30 days only. That's offboarding. Next, reporting. So your application team or your management, based on the application criticality, they would ask you different kind of reports. Okay, ask them if they need any reporting requirements. You can give what kind of data users has in that application. Second, you can give like which department has more users with this access. That's what reporting, right? Different kind of analysis. You can give it to them. Okay. Um, Based on their requirements, just offer them. Finally, SOD. I think in Omada product, I think they call it as toxic combinations. Okay. In SailPoint IdentityIQ, we call it as preventive and detective policy violations. In SailPoint IdentityNow, we call it as SOD, segregation of duty policies, or policies you can call. In SailPoint IdentityNow, we have two type of policies. SODs, segregation of duties, means a user is having access in one list should not have access in second list. For example, a user should not be requester and approver. If you can't raise invoice request, and if you only approve it, what is the point of doing it even? Someone else should be there. That's SOD. 10 years back when I started my career, they used to call it as SOX even, SOX. So it was like, when I started my career there in that project, uh, the resources, I mean the employees that in the team managing the access, right, IAM team, who has access to non-prod should not have access to prod, and vice versa. So no one will have access to both non-prod and prod. That's how it was. I don't know whether it is a good or bad. Again, to give you an answer here, there is no generalized statement, guys. Nothing is right, nothing is wrong. Every time it's based on the organization requirements, business requirements, and applications, the culture, it defines the requirements and implementations. It's not like every time you can say right or wrong. You cannot judge that. Even I stopped using right or wrong. We used to say that relevant or irrelevant. Okay. So SOD we use for, detecting, like if a user, we ask application team, do you have any requirements like that? They'll definitely say, what is this? Explain them in simple words. Use the business terminology. Like you think a user should not have access in. First of all, two requirements here. One, if can a user have more than one access in your application? If they say no, done. There is nothing to talk about SOD because at a time user will have one access only. Single valued attribute. If it is multi-valued, means user can have more than one access. For example, Active Directory user can have more than one group. It's a multi-valued attribute, right? Even in Salesforce, some attributes, some access like public groups or queues or those things. Public business role is one only, I think. Profile is only one single valued attribute. So if it is single valued attribute, if you request for us a different access, it will be overridden. If it is multi-valued, you'll have more than one access. Then if it is multi-valued, you should ask this question. Do you have any requirement like user who has access to one set should not have access to another set or another access? Then they will answer. Second requirement is, do you think a user who is from this department should not have access in this access? Yeah, makes sense, right? A user who is in financial department should not get this access. Yeah, their wish, their requirements. Okay, so then you need to implement SODs. In SailPoint IdentityIQ, it's very good. You can prevent the request even when a user is submitting the request. Based on the set requirements, you can stop the request even. That's very good. SailPoint, I didn't know preventive policy violations are not there yet. Detective are there, but I have read the document that preventive is also there. But maybe we using workflows as a custom approach, extra additional work, we can implement it, which I'm working on currently. But out of the box, I haven't seen yet. Maybe they will release in coming days because I have seen the document. Or they think that by using workflows only this you can do it, not like direct out of the box way with some concepts or configuration. Anyway, we will see that. Okay, that's about HOD. So these are the steps which I have taken care or I have implemented in all my years of career, which I do for every application onboarding. Some steps may be optional. Okay, so you need to follow this. It's the same for every application onboarding, doesn't matter which connector it is. You do not need to ask or have a question like, hey, I haven't worked on that X connector or Y connector, Z connector, how to work on it. Don't ask that question. You need to learn the core knowledge, the process. Okay. And once you learn the same steps or same knowledge, you will apply on each and every connector. Some connectors will have a different process. For example, if you take JDBC, it's a bit different. Web services bit different because those are generic connectors. But if you do one JDBC, done. All JDBC, all databases, same process. If you do one web services, done. Same process. Direct connectors, you don't need to worry much because less work compared to generic connectors like JDBC or web services. Okay. Then every IGA product will have connectors. If you take SailPoint, so you can go to documentation.sailpoint.com. This is open source. You do not need to log in even. Anyone can see that. So just search for type documentation.sailpoint.com. You see here admin help connector guides are there. If I open connector guides, this is displayed for all the connectors alphabetically sorted out. Okay. So if I go to, for example, ServiceNow, where is ServiceNow? See here, ServiceNow Identity Governance SaaS. So here you can find for both SailPoint IdentityIQ and SailPoint IdentityNow. Read it if you have time. Then if you go to this connected documentation, so they have explained what are the supported features, password management, enable, disable, all this work or not, supported management systems, prerequisites, what are the prerequisites you need, what are the required permissions you need. Okay, so not every connector will have this kind of additional things you need to check. Only very few. This is not a big deal. Uh, you take Salesforce, similar process. Go to Salesforce connector, open it, and check it. Hardly take half an hour, maybe. You see what if you need any additional permissions or something. Okay, so you need to think about only this little part. It varies from different connector. So if you know this already, it's very good. If you have worked on ServiceNow connector already, You definitely don't remember after 1 year, but you have a confidence that, hey, I have already worked on it, so I don't have any problem. Even if you some your management, your application team, or if your team asks, yeah, I worked on 1 year back, let me cross check. You might have created a documentation in the same team. You can go through them. Or second is, if you are in a different company, then you would say, yeah, I worked in my previous experience, in my previous project. I don't remember everything now, but let me cross check. But yeah, no worries. I have worked on it already, so no issues. I can do it again. If I haven't worked on that connector at all, I would say like, yeah, I haven't. No one questions me nowadays. Like, hey, have you worked on this connector? I won't do that. Even if someone does that, I would say like, yeah, I never got a chance to work on it, but it's no big deal about it. Okay, so I'll open this documentation. Once the connector is decided, I will be creating an empty source or application at the SailPoint or IGA tool. It's not like completely done, just some application or source is created. Then I'll start digging into the documentation. If I know it already, I don't need to, like web services or delimited or JDBs, I don't need to Active Directory like that. Otherwise, you need to look into this documentation and look into it. Remaining options will be same. You don't need to worry. Okay, so go through this required permissions or supported features and prerequisites. Gather the data, talk to your application team. They also know. It's not like you need to inform them. Application team also knows that they have to create a credential for you, right? You need to have a service account created at application side. So they will give you that. While creating, they have to give permissions also. So it's not like you need to inform them for sure. They also know that. Okay. So now coming to your question, do you think it is possible to know each and every connector? Someone will ask like, hey Krishna, I need some this. Have you worked on Meditech connector? I'm having a problem. Can you help me? Dude, what is Meditech? Even I don't know. Have you worked on something here, Sumo Logic? I never heard that even. How would I know? Right? Doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I do get questions like this. Sometimes I don't understand their questions even. Something they'll use alien language which I don't understand even. Right? So what the gap here is that you are thinking that every connector is different. No, it is not. For us, it is same. There are little differences you need to consider. And it is okay if you don't know that even, because it is not an exam or it is not something like you have to do right away in 1 hour or 2 hours. Not like that. You have time, couple of weeks or couple of months of time. You spend one whole day even on exploring the connector documentation. So simple things you need to worry about. What are the features it supports? The connector supports. Some connectors won't support provisioning. Some connectors supports only aggregation. Some connectors, most of the connectors support enable disable only. They don't support delete account. For example, this is ServiceNow. It does support enable disable. In case if you say that it is not working, some permissions issue at ServiceNow side, you need to talk to your application team. Okay, so you need to look into supported features. Password management will be supported or not. That's the first thing, supported features. Second, prerequisites you need to consider. What are the prerequisites you need? If you take ServiceNow, at ServiceNow side, they have to configure or install some application at their application store, which they will take care of it. You need to give this link to their ServiceNow team. Even they know actually, if they don't know, that's okay. Give them this link, which I have given to my ServiceNow team. They have gone through it. Even we had a call together and we read together and we worked together. He shared the screen, ServiceNow side. I was looking at it and he was doing the work. And then required permission. So once you have your service account is created, you need to have permissions. See, the technology has evolved in such a way that there is a granular access management is there. It's not like you get complete access. They can control each and every teeny tiny access as well. Like, can this user read the access? Can this, if you go with the reading access, can this user read all the data or some data only? Even for some connectors, some applications, every attribute they can control whether this service account can read data for every attribute or not. Okay, so they're controlling like that. It's very good. It's a time consuming as well because you need to give permissions to each and every attribute as well. If you're going for writing, can you just create only? Can you modify as well? Sometimes you cannot create, you can modify only. Yeah, it will be like that. You cannot delete, you can enable, disable. Sometimes they forget to give enable, disable access. You have to work with them. So you need to check the permissions. So supported features, prerequisites, and permissions. You need to check for each and every connector, which is hardly 1 hour or 2 hours. You need to read this document. Okay. And and it's not like for every connector you need this even. And how often you are going to do that? If you do once, definitely you are going to remember. It's good if you take notes. One mistake I have done in my career is I've written lots and lots of coding, lot of work I have done, but I haven't written anywhere because it was written or noted down in my office computer, office laptop only. When I left that organization, I have given it back. After some year, I feel like I'll remember. What you will remember after 1 year or 2 years? You will forget everything. Definitely will forget. Okay, you might barely remember that work. Even if you remember why to redo the work which you have done already. So it's better have a Git repository for yourself. Write some notes. Take some notes. I'm not telling you to steal the organization data. That's very wrong to do. Don't do that. Have some notes in your Git repository because your laptop might change, your device might change, you will leave the organization, you join some other organization, but your GitHub repository will be there forever and you can have the notes there. Okay, simple notes, ServiceNow onboarding. Work with application team. Application team need to install ServiceNow SailPoint extension there at their side. They have to create service account. They have to give permissions. What are the issues you have faced, challenges you faced? Just simple notes. After a couple of years, you can go back and read it. If not, then you can read these documentations. That's okay. As experience increases, your expertise will be increasing, right? Which will give you more confidence. If not, then something wrong you are doing. And someone will come and ask me, Krishna, have you worked on this connector? You think I am a god? Or do you think I have worked on each and every application that exists in the world? No, I'm just like you. I'm just like you, one of you guys. We all are same. We all are working for similar organizations. It's not like someone is worked on all the connectors that exist in the world. No, maybe 10, 20, 30. We might have worked on it. See, it's not about how many applications you have in your organization. It is about different type of applications you have. Okay, some medical related applications will be there. Those of Epic, for example, EPIC, Epic. Epic connector is there actually. That is for medical systems. If you haven't worked on medical systems at all, how will you work on that connector? No way. So stop asking this question. Maybe you can ask question like, hey Krishna, how are you? I'm working on Epic connector. This is the issue I have faced on. Can you help me with that? I don't care about Epic. I will look into that issue only. Doesn't matter instead of Epic if you put some XYZ. Still my response would be same. I'll ask like what connector it is you are using. Then I'll look into this connector. You will say that a disable is not working. So first thing I do is it supported or not? I'll come to the SailPoint connector documentation or even Okta or some other tools. I'll look into the supported features, whether it is supported or not. If it is not supported, I'll tell. A lot of people who are asking me questions, they are not reading the documentations. Come on, guys, read the documentations. Okay. A lot of people are coming like it's not everyone. Some I have seen like they feel like, hey, we have a question, let ask someone, they'll give the answer, we will take that answer, we will leave, we will not explore or we will not read the documentation, anything. Few I have seen like that, which is very bad, guys. You cannot depend on someone every time. Okay. I am not here giving you answers. I'm giving you the methodology, how you should approach for each and every work so that you can work independently. All right. So this is what a complete application onboarding look like and how you should work, how you should your thought process supposed to be. Okay. And I'm going to explain you each and every topic in detail. Every topic I have explained here, right? These many steps. So all of them, I'm going to explain everything in detail. I think this is one of the longest duration on some topic I have ever spoken about or created sessions. It's going to be the longest one, maybe um, 15 hours or 20 hours I'm going to talk about for all these concepts, everything in detail. I'm going to give you technical knowledge and project knowledge, experience and expertise. What are the different issues you might face, how you should talk to your application teams or management or stakeholders, and if some questions, challenging questions comes, how you're supposed to react. Everything I'm going to bring it out and explain it to you. And this session or what, if it is 10-15 hours, then maybe I should term it as course. This is suitable for everyone relevant to IAM. Let's say if you are a IAM professional, yes, you can go through this. You already worked in application onboardings and you know the stuff. Yeah, still it is good for you. It is relevant. If you are a business analyst, I have got a couple of requests that I'm a business analyst. Do you have any courses that are suitable for business analyst? I think this is the course that you need. Why? Business analyst will be working with the technical team and application team in gathering requirements for all the various use cases and requirements. That's what I have explained, right, for application onboarding. Other than application onboarding, I don't think a business analyst is required. Won't say 100%, but 90% this is what business analyst does. So this course is for you. And I'm explaining, right? Every terminology I'm explaining in simple words so you can understand. And I'm explaining the a life cycle of application onboarding from zero to end, or we call it as not learn application onboarding, zero to hero, all the things you can consider fancy thumbnails. So if you are a product lead, product owner of IAM, this is good for you. You can learn from this. Okay. If you are a client, even some vendors or contractors or freelancers working for you, and you would like to know how an application onboarding is supposed to be, yeah, this is good for you as well. In one liner, this is relevant for all the IGA relevant professionals, no matter their expertise, either technical or business or doesn't matter, sales as well. Okay. Hope this will help you to learn something, and stay tuned for each and every topic in detail. Thank you.